Severe flooding struck the Russian Republic of Dagestan on March 28, 2026, after days of intense and sustained rainfall, overwhelmed the region's drainage infrastructure, and triggered a state of emergency in the capital, Makhachkala. The city, home to more than 600,000 residents and a major economic and transport hub on the Caspian Sea, experienced rapid water accumulation as runoff from heavy rain poured into streets and low-lying districts, leaving large sections underwater within hours. Officials described the rainfall as unusually heavy for the season and said that the resulting floods unfolded faster and more extensively than anticipated. Authorities in the regional capital declared a state of emergency on Saturday as emergency services were placed on high alert and deployed across the area to respond to urgent calls for help. The impact on essential infrastructure was severe. According to official figures from the Regional Ministry of Emergency Situations, more than 327,000 people were left without power across Dagestan after floodwaters damaged electrical substations and power lines. These outages affected at least 283 settlements, including both urban and rural communities, and included nearly 90,000 children. Regional officials said crews were working around the clock to restore electricity and repair damaged facilities. Emergency response teams focused on restoring critical services, clearing blocked routes, and assisting residents trapped by rising waters. Local authorities acknowledged that the scale of the flooding exceeded even the most pessimistic forecasts, forcing teams to improvise and adapt as they encountered flooding in areas that had not been expected to be so severely affected. Scenes from the affected areas underscore the intensity of the event. Verified footage from Makhachkala shows cars and other vehicles being swept away by fast-moving currents as floodwaters surged through city streets. Vehicles lifted off their positions were carried significant distances before becoming wedged against barriers or colliding with structures. These images illustrate the force with which rainwater moved through the urban landscape, effectively turning some thoroughfares into impromptu waterways. Residential areas were hard hit. Reports indicate that hundreds of homes were inundated by floodwaters, forcing residents to evacuate or move to higher floors while waiting for assistance. In several districts, ground-level rooms were completely submerged, damaging personal property and rendering portions of houses uninhabitable. Local officials coordinated evacuations in the most affected neighborhoods, and city authorities initiated a distribution of emergency supplies, including water and temporary shelter. Transport infrastructure suffered significant disruption as well. Several major roads were either damaged or fully submerged, impeding internal mobility and complicating the deployment of emergency crews. Rail transport was also affected when two spans of a railway bridge on the North Caucasus Railway near the city of S.W.X collapsed under the combination of rainfall and water pressures, forcing partial suspension of rail services and requiring assessment and repair operations. In rural parts of the Republic, the situation mirrored that of the capital. Villages and smaller communities reported rising water levels, affecting homes and farmland. Some residents were evacuated to temporary shelters as local authorities mobilized support. Although there have been no confirmed reports of large-scale casualties to date, emergency services continued to conduct assessments of both urban and rural areas to identify ongoing risks and to track the full extent of the damage.
машины сверху сюда же.
Что, махачкалинцы? Я вот помню, вот там была будка. Ее убрали. Как же стало хорошо. Решили проблему. Проблему, которая много лет.
Beyond the immediate physical effects, the floods have strained public services. Power losses disrupted water supply systems in several towns, leaving residents without access to running water as pumping stations went offline. In high-rise buildings, the combination of electrical outages and flood damage affected elevator systems and internal water distribution, creating additional hardships for residents, particularly the elderly and those with limited mobility. Meteorological forecasts indicated that unsettled weather could persist over the immediate weekend following the initial flooding.
Ну, пожалуйста. Это очень спасибо. Это верните великое.
Raising concerns that further rain might slow recovery efforts and prolong the period of disruption. Officials cautioned that saturated ground conditions would make additional heavy rainfall more likely to result in further flooding. Authorities and community leaders have called for calm and cooperation as operations shift from immediate response to early recovery. Damage assessment teams are mapping the scale of losses to infrastructure, public utilities, and private property, with initial indications pointing towards substantial economic impact. City administrators have begun planning for reconstruction and rehabilitation of damaged roads, bridges, and power networks, and regional government officials said funds will be allocated to support affected families and businesses.
Эти машины сверху сюда же занесет.
Идет обвал моста. Которые сгибаются. Вот уже один с той стороны уже обвал. Вот обвалился.
Local hospitals and medical services were placed on alert and increased staffing levels to prepare for potential health emergencies arising from the floods and related disruptions. Although there has been no official confirmation of widespread injuries linked directly to the flooding, emergency hotlines remained active to assist residents and coordinate relief for those in isolated or highly affected neighborhoods.
Що за водоворот здесь?
Thanks for watching Severe Weather, where we break down the facts behind nature's most intense moments. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps this channel going. Hit the bell so you never miss a real, calm, and clear report. See you in the next one. Stay informed, stay safe.